Hi, welcome back to Evony-roo. I'm Andy. In my last video we were discussing subgenerals, which ones to look out for, and what I recommended was probably the best decisions to make, in my opinion, for your future development for your subcity generals. Today I want to cover a little bit more about the gear that we put on them and why we put it on, what's effective and what's not. Again, this is my opinion, so feel free to go along with whatever you want to do. I'm just trying to show people a little what I've learned over the time of playing the game, so you can get an understanding of what they're actually doing for you in the game. So to start off, I'm going to show you one of my favourite generals, Andrew Jackson. You might notice there I've got a few of him. I look at the gear sets that we're going to put on. Now forgive me if I say all these wrong, because some of the names are a bit, but the Academy's set of gear offers you, if you have all 6 pieces, a 15% deduction on a troop attack, and each piece will offer you reductions. Now again, like I was saying about the generals, if you've watched that, the subsidies, realistically the minus figures, the debuffs, are the only things that will really count when you're trying to make a defence. So it's important to look at what troops you want to try and debuff, which gear best suits you for your keep and your what kind of defence that you're trying to build. So you know, these things can depend a little upon what war general you're using, but I'm just giving you a rough idea of how you should look to try and dress them and try and debuff in general. So your setup might want to become a little bit different to mine, but I'm just going to try and cover some of the basics so you've got an understanding of what you should work on and what you shouldn't work on. So you know, if you've got your forge to level 33, you're saving up all your resources at the moment to be able to push your keep to level 35 and to be able to make those T14 troops. That process, while you're doing that, you've got to look to start building the gear out, because each of your sub-generals, they all want this 6 piece to be able to get these debuffs. That's the one we're looking for. So you want all 6 to be able to give you the 15% over the board, and that's obviously all troops, so that's a nice debuff to put in there. It will add a debuff of 15% to every category. So as you're making a defence and you're trying to debuff the attacks coming at you, you know, having all 6 pieces lit up so that this is green and you've got that 15% is a must. So, and picking out each piece, as I said before, it's a bit of an individual's choice. I would look for what offers the debuffs, and don't pick anything that doesn't offer the debuffs, because there's no point. The positives only affect the troops within that sub-city, so it is just the debuffs you're looking for. I tend to pick the axe as my weapon of choice, but I have got spear on a few. Just because it mixes up a little of what you're debuffing, again, but that's a personal choice of what kind of defence you're trying to make to what you want to debuff the best at. So with the helm, I've picked here so that it's debuffing the ground troop defence and ground troop HP 35%. The advanced refining you can do yourself is a complete waste of time until they add a debuff value that you can win. I wouldn't waste any of your gems doing any of them. I think some of mine show that I've done some, but that's because there were pieces that maybe I've built for somebody else and then put onto a subs as I was building up my subs. So the legs, I decided I went for an enemy range troop defence minus 35%, and the siege attack minus 35%. As you start getting a bit bigger in the game, a lot of people try and hit you with siege to knock out your siege, so they then can send in a ranged troop attack to try and knock out your defences. So having the siege there is always nice, but the range is definitely something I want to try and debuff all the stats for. Again, it's a 6-piece, so you're getting that 15 on all of them anyway to add to, so that's a piece I would pick. Ring, I've gone for the Courageous. That gives the attack debuff 40% on the range. So the ring, I think all my rings are the same because I want that debuff. And I'd recommend that you do the same. But as again, you may have different ideas of which way you want to take your keep. My boots tend to be, I'm trying to debuff the siege and the mounted in there, so they're both there, and it's both attacks, so I've picked that piece, does the job. As I say, you can flick through all the different boots, see which ones offer the best debuffs that you want, but will still make your full set. So it's up to you to have a look and pick what you think's best, but I've gone with the Courageous boots. And the body armour, I've gone Courageous again, and that gives you siege and mounted troop. I've tried to give myself a balance over my subs to sort of up all my stats a little across the board, but definitely focused on being able to reduce the impact of a ranged troop attack on me. So a lot of them, wherever I could pick that it's ranged troop that I'm debuffing, that's what I've tried to pick. So that in general is the kind of gear selection I would pick. I use all my spiritual beasts. If you look at them, they all offer a debuff. So let's get to the main ones here. Look, so like Pegasus, ground troop HP debuff. Nine-tailed fox, mountain troop HP debuff. Kong, where's his debuff? Ooh, am I missing it? Oh no, there it is. Mountain troop defence. But all of them, they offer a debuff. Range troop attack there, nice one to have. So they're all there, and I've put them onto my sub-generals. These other pluses will only apply for if they're on a general and they're out on a march, it will only apply for that general and that march. So, and a lot of them are mixed, so I don't really see much point to putting them onto my generals, but their most value is for that debuff. If you add them to your sub-generals, that debuff counts. So it's worth getting them all up their levels and getting them onto sub-generals just to add to those debuffs. Obviously, any chance you've got to be able to reduce the enemy's attack is key. That's what we're setting up the sub-cities for. So I'd recommend that all your sub-generals all have them sat on, as I've got. You can see they're just thrown in so that they're there. Right, anything else I wanted to cover with yourselves? We were talking specialties before in the last video. You can see I've only ever done the second one on any of them because that offers a debuff. All the others offer they offer plus percentages, which again only apply for the troops in that sub-city. The books you put on, unless you're on a server or you've coined and you've got D-book books, then they're pretty pointless. They only work within that sub. So if you're getting hit a lot in SVS or on the battlefields and you wanted to have a bit of, I don't know, rebirth or sort of death to wounded rates and stuff like that, then sometimes they're worth popping on. It can just help the troops in that sub-city, because obviously you don't want all your troops to die in the sub-cities when you're using them on the battlefields. So it's a little added tip. Your generals will automatically train as well if you're using the subsidies within any kind of attacks. Then that general is acting within that attack, and you'll find that his EXP will grow along with your monarch size. So they're a good place. You can pop a general in if you want to train him up. You can always pop one in there to train up, just as a little added tip, if you don't do sub-training to level up your generals. Right, I think I've covered what I want to cover in this video about your sub-generals. There's obviously, you can look at sub-cities and what kind of sub-cities you should pick, but that again depends on what kind of game you're playing, what luck you've had in winning them, if you've been lucky enough to even be donated some. Obviously everyone strives to have all gold sub-cities. You've got to obviously decide what your keep's going to be. If you were one for attacking, then you're going to want to fill it with Russian subs that will offer the buffs for that, so that's something to take into consideration when you're picking what kind of subsidy types you want. But they're individual's choice. You need to look at them and decide which one best suits what you want to do in the game. I hope this has been helpful to you all. Please like and subscribe to my channel to help the growth. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch the video. Cheers, bye.